Unlocking housing supply by resolving bureaucratic delays. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about some big developments that may be happening near you real fast. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Whoa.
Oh, morning.
Wow. This is big news. This is that we he was gonna do it. He was gonna do it, and now he's doing it. Mr. Mins. Planning
Yeah,
guy, the planning dude.
yeah, he's definitely made some progress, Mr. Mins, and I think our newest neighbour next door is one of the first developers to start using this process, this emergency scheme. Mark, do you want to delve a little bit deeper into the Mins government and what they're putting together?
Yes. So what happened is Mins, Mr. Mins, came along and said, "We need new houses. We need new houses. We need new houses. We need to ease up rentals. We need to ease up the market. We need new houses. We need new houses." And no one did it. And then he came along and said, "Right, well, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it." So he put a task force together of only a few people, a handful of people. Yep, just a handful of people, and said, "You bring us big developments, 50 million builds and upwards and things like that, and we will approve them pretty quickly." Well, as in, not straight away, but straight away.
Yeah,
Um, and and it happened. So one of the first that got under their nose in December was Landmarks, the developers DY project, which is across the road from our office. And they've been fighting, saying we want more height, pushing, saying we want not more height. They're already a big site of 220 units with an approval. They relodged, and I think now they've got an extra 50, 60 apartments, but they've donated back to the community 15% of the project for essential workers, so cheaper rent.
yeah, and I think that's fantastic because you're killing two birds with one stone. I think solving that housing issue with bringing more supply onto the market will also help with affordability, but also it's great to give back that 15% portion back to the community. So essential workers, guys, that's nurses, police officers, and I think no other group of people is any more deserving of such a little upkick in the housing market. So I think it's a great bit of policy that Mr. Mins has put together, and we look forward to seeing those fast tracked approvals. So essentially what that means is they bypass local council, and it's a state handled affair, which would then push those hiccups or roadblocks, just bypasses those. Yes, I think it's a great little policy he's put together.
I think what's interesting is council's shrouded with so much, compliance to make everyone happy, and it's almost become inhibiting for councils to approve something because of all the rules and regs. And I think also for councils, people don't want to lose their job or their position. They don't want to get, hated by the public, or so I think there's a certain comfort that council has when Mins comes along and sledges it, because it's like, hey, it wasn't me that made this decision. It was Mins. So DY is going to see an unprecedented height with the landmark development because of Mr. Mins that is above what's allowed in the area. We've always we've got a quite a big height in the middle of DY, which for planning is pretty normal. But on the edge of DY to be that high is pretty incredible. So they're going 10 stories on Pittwater Road. And if people don't know, that's near Avis. But for people out there, if you are within 400 or 800 meters with an R3 zoning, if you're 418 metres to a major supermarket, I think they're saying it's got to be over a 2,000 metre squared, 1,000 metre squared footprint supermarket, or in a railway, particularly the railway stuff, they're sledging through even harder. So we could see a lot of big developments happening real soon.
Yeah, which is very exciting, because I think the main sort of factor on our pricing in the market is supply and demand, so that will definitely play effect into that. And we look forward to, we've got a couple of projects coming up along Pittwater Road, so it's going to be exciting seeing those come to fruition.
Yeah, I think with the northern beaches in particular, I think what people will start to see with this supply coming online is, first home buyers are having a hard time in our area, staying under 800 grand. 800 grand, you heard right. That's a massive figure. So when there's more supply that comes into the market, it hopefully will help that price stay or even go down a little bit, to make it a little bit more easier for people to get in. On the northern beaches, for instance, with all this min stuff that's coming through, the problem with the pipe, even if these approvals come through, it's still years down the track from them to deliver a turnkey project. So it can be 3 or 4 years. So there is an urgency now to get stuff happening now because the pipe's so long for it to be delivered, because the size and nature of these projects. So I think that even though people are going, oh my God, knee-jerk reaction, there's going to be, almost 300 units in DY, it's like, hang on a sec, for that to come out of the other end, it's going to take a while as well. Can I just address something quickly as well? It's people's understanding of density is always over-exaggerated, and people really freak out. And what I mean by that is when I look at a suburb like DY, Josh, what would be the biggest? Would you say? Do you hear from people DY's got too many units, or DY's been smashed in the last year or two?
You do hear it. Little bits of talks of it, but I'd say go down and visit Zetland, if you want to get a real idea of a mass build-up. I mean, I'm originally from over that way, and I was there when it was leveled, back when I moved to Sydney. So if you look at the comparison there, and there's even more going up. So all the old Toyota dealerships that they had remaining there, they've just been leveled. Now they're going up, massive apartments. I mean, yeah, I think you have some figures on the build up over there, Mark, just to give the public a bit of an idea of the comparison of the two, because it's quite outstanding, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I think what people got to remember is housing density. When it happens, I always look at the, is it how big is the ocean if you're going to put a drop into the ocean? And when these buildings are getting developed, they're not comparatively to the entire suburb, they're not making a massive influence. That's what you've got to look at. I love what Billy says, and he says supply is the enemy of capital growth. I'll say it again. Supply is the enemy of capital growth. And I had this conversation yesterday with a client about Queensland. We are so tight with our supply in Sydney compared to other states like Melbourne and Queensland. We are going to guarantee better capital growth in areas that have low supply. So if we use DY as an example, DY has for 60 years has sat at about 8,000 to 9,000 units. 60 years, it hasn't really changed. Only the last probably 10 years, we've had about another 600, 700 units dropped into DY. That's not even 10% over an entire 50, 60 year period. That is not a lot of supply. But when you drive through DY, you think the place has been friggin' nailed because all of the infill is actually on Pittwater Road. So you're driving down the main road where 70,000 cars a day go past, and you're going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But the rest of all of the streets of DY untouched. So if you're worried about supply and you want to run a ruler or a metric over your suburb, have a look at how many properties are in that suburb that are similar.
Definitely.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think there's like you said, I think you had some figures on the general move of how many apartments there are over the years. Do you still have those handy?
In where?
In DY, I remember we had a chat a couple of weeks ago about the changes and how many total units we've had over the past couple of
Yeah,
years.
yeah. So 8 to 9,000.
Yep.
There's been, and that was done in the 50s and 60s. Sorry, 60s and 70s. We nailed into DY about 8,500 units, and
Yeah.
then the
Right.
suburb did not move for
Mm.
50 years. Nothing, as in nothing of nothing of nothing. Everyone made good money, but only the last 10 years they've dropped in some new stock, which has been considerably higher in price. So it has not competed with the old stock. And they've put in about another 600 to 700 units, but most of them on Pittwater Road. Now, it's not really influencing the existing supply for two reasons. It's not a big number percentage wise comparatively. And the second reason, it's a different price point. So all
Mm.
those red brick blocks that were 60, 70 metre squared two bedders, those two bedders are not competing with, the brand new two bedders that are worth 1.5, 1.3 million bucks.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. So and your thoughts back on Min's movements and policy.
Kick it and rip
Coming.
it.
Agreed.
What do
Yeah,
you
no,
think?
it's great. Oh, it's great. I mean, that's what they need, a little bit less red tape and a little bit more common sense. I think would go a long way in these sort of processes. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Josh, before we go, I do want to stress to people, if you think you are not influenced by a new unit block going into your area, think again,
Mm.
because I do get the response from people saying, it doesn't mean crap to me, doesn't mean shit to me, because I don't have the ability to buy a two-bedroom unit, a brand new two-bedroom unit for $1.3 million. How does that affect me? But what it actually does do is it knocks on it feeds a certain price range and it knocks up and knocks down as a result. And what I
Correct.
mean by that is, if you develop, okay, let's just use land as an example in Warriewood. If you develop 300 blocks of land in Warriewood, you get families letting go of their unit and moving into a house. And when they let go of their unit, they're releasing their two-bedroom unit for someone else to buy. The person buying that unit lets go of their one-bedroom unit, which goes to the first home buyer. So there's actually like a knock-on effect through
Mm.
all price ranges with development.
Yeah,
It's good.
definitely right. Yeah. Well, thanks for that, Mark. It's great to see your insight from someone that's been in the area for so long.
Did I talk too much today?
Not at all.
Thanks, Edge. Guys, go Mr. Mins. Woo!